Be seated.
It's time for Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquardt. Todd Marquardt, attorney at law in Texas. If you're a millionaire or a thousandaire, Talk Law Radio is now on the air. Call in with your business law question, your elder law question, veteran aid, Medicaid, build a business to get paid. 210-308-8867. Or ask a question online at marquardtlawfirm.com. That's MARQUARDT lawfirm.com. And now it's Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquardt.
Welcome to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt. On the radio, on podcasts, on Facebook, on YouTube, and on talklawradio.com. Go to talklawradio.com if you want to be a guest or if you want to be a sponsor of the show. Today we're going to be talking about family business and financial planning with Steve, Jacob, and Joseph Warren. Before we get started talking about the law, let's begin with prayer. Dear God, thank you for this day. Thank you for all the gifts and blessings that you give to us. Please forgive us for our sins, for our mistakes, for doing the wrong thing or failing to follow your will. Please help us to follow your will more closely. Help us, Steve, Jacob, Joseph, and myself, have a good conversation about family business and financial planning today. Help us to do everything we do for the good of your people, for our own good, and for your glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 Now it's time for us to talk about these legal issues in family business, but also we want to know all about how the family business runs. And later, Steve is actually going to tell us the secret to having a successful business. So we want everybody to stay tuned for that. But first, let's get to know each of you just a little bit. And Steve, since you're the head honcho, we'll start with you. Or maybe I'm just assuming that you're the head honcho. Maybe actually it's Joseph.
Well, we're all co-owners of Financial Planning HQ. So my role is I'm president and part owner of the company. And so really happy to be here. Thank you for having us. And Joseph and Jacob are my sons, and they also are part owners of the company as well.
Tell us how you got started and a little bit about your background.
I started in the insurance industry back in 1987. And so what I did was I answered a blind ad in the newspaper, so I didn't know where I was going to. But it ended up being a large insurance company, MetLife at the time. And the ad said, would you like to earn $50,000? And at the time, I had just been laid off from my prior job. So I went there, and I was disappointed to find out it was an insurance company. However, after about 6 or 7 interviews, I decided to join the company, and that's the way things began for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a good ad. Want to make $50,000.
It was definitely a blind ad.
Yeah, interesting. And so you started with MetLife, but you're not with MetLife any longer, right?
No, the evolution took me to eventually becoming a financial planner, a technician, if you will, around 2000, achieving my designations, and eventually evolved into being more focused on financial planning and holistic type planning, comprehensive planning, if you will. And then around 2011, I had an administrative assistant who decided to leave for whatever reason. And so I decided to ask my son Jacob if he wanted to intern and get a feel for what the business was like. And so in 2011, he joined me as a salaried employee. And after about a year, 18 months, he actually became an advisor. He got a great offer, too.
$50,000?
Not quite.
He got a great offer. It was really a good base salary to start with. And so...
was that because of what you were offered or because of the company that you were working with?
It was because of the fact that he was going to work with me and he would be mentored, and his likelihood of success was 100%.
Oh, great. Wow, that's a pretty good guarantee, Jacob.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the way you remember it?
Mostly. Maybe a little different perspective.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I'm Jacob Warren. I'm the youngest of the Warren trio here in the studio. And back in 2012, or I remember 2012, maybe it was 2011, Steve had asked me if I wanted to come intern, see if I liked the business, if I was interested in it. And it's kind of funny. I did not know what he did for work. I knew he dressed nice and worked a lot, but I wasn't sure what he did for his clients. So kind of like him, I was a little bit surprised when it was like an insurance, investment type of job. But I got very interested in the life insurance part of what we were doing pretty early on to starting. I found it fascinating how creative you could be with the planning and different ideas you can provide to business owners for how to use insurance to make sure that they're secure. So ever since then, since 2012, been doing it ever since then. And our business has changed a lot since then. But I think we're in a really, really good spot, and I'm, happy to be here. I appreciate the invitation, Todd, and also Joseph, for you extending your invitation to myself and Steve. Oh, yeah. Well, I've been trying to get you guys over here for a long time. Maybe I should have called you directly. Joseph, why don't you remind our listeners you're a returning guest. Yeah. You've done some great shows with me, money and banking, and Social Security. And so if you're interested in those subjects, definitely search the archived audio on talklawradio.com or go to YouTube if you want to see the videos. Yeah. But Joseph, just remind everybody your journey, how you came to be working with your dad and your brother.
Definitely. Thanks for having me on again. Around 2012, when Jacob was starting to intern, I was joining a graduate program at UCLA for organic chemistry. And I soon found out that I hated it. And I quit without a financial plan or anything. I was very broke in LA. And I remember during that time, I came to visit home. And being prideful, I didn't want to say that I was struggling with money. I think that's something that's hard to admit sometimes. And they took me to a fancy dinner. I was kind of seeing that Jacob was making good money. And I think that may have planted a seed in a way of, maybe there's something else I could do. Maybe I'm not on the correct path right now. So after a while, I said, I'm running out of money. I need help. My dad came, picked me up, came home, and I started as an intern as well, and just found that I love the aspect of enlightening people or educating people on their finances, because that can really wake them up to more possibilities in their life.
Great. So you started as an intern, and what would you say is one reason why you've stayed?
The fact that you can always get better in this industry. There's always something new to learn. The laws are always changing. The situations are always changing. I think of kind of a crazy year, 2020. That year, there was a lot of planning opportunities to refinance your mortgage, to do Roth conversions, lots of different things. And I just think it's endlessly fascinating because the world changed so quickly, and you can constantly sharpen the sword, get better, and provide better advice to your clients. And then you get to see the impact of them achieving their goals, which is just, to me, that's addictive. I love to see that.
Let's talk about Financial Planning HQ. Who wants to talk about the company? Steve?
I can do that, sure. Financial Planning HQ is an independent registered investment advisor. And so what that means is that we're not affiliated with a broker-dealer. We're not affiliated with an insurance company. And so we're ruggedly independent, and I think it allows us to give unbiased advice to our clients. And as I mentioned before, we're all owners, and we work with financially successful people that have things in their life that are more important than money. And so what we do is we provide them with a team of highly skilled subject matter experts that hold their own financial subject matter experts accountable to each of their objectives. So that would be in the tax, legal, insurance, investments, or wealth management, and financial planning. So clients typically will have relationships with these types of subject matter experts, but they don't talk to each other. They're not coordinated, and they give advice to the client in a vacuum and not in alignment with an overarching strategy. So in short, that's what we do. Our team holds their team accountable to each of their objectives, and then we set up a plan that's designed to work. And we make all of the necessary course corrections that are necessary so that they stay on track. There's a plan in place to make things happen. The end result is that they get their entire financial house in perfect order.
We got to take a break. We'll be right back. Are you confident about your financial future? What if you had a clear financial roadmap and a team holding you accountable to make the best financial decisions no matter what? At Financial Planning HQ, Steve and his sons, Joseph and Jacob, have been helping San Antonio families since 1987 with inspiring, intelligent financial strategies. Whether it's achieving or maintaining financial independence, becoming more tax efficient, or building business wealth, we create a comprehensive, written lifetime financial strategy that's uniquely yours, based entirely on what's important to you. Don't leave your financial future to chance. Call Financial Planning HQ today at 210-685-2722. That's 210-685-2722. And take the first step towards financial clarity. That's Financial Planning HQ, inspiring financial strategies for San Antonio. Remember, 210-685-2722. Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt, on the radio, on Facebook, on YouTube, on talklawradio.com, on podcasts everywhere. You can find this show there as well. And if you're interested in some line of law, if you're confused or frustrated by regulations, send me an email at host@talklawradio.com. That's HOST@talklawradio.com. I'd like to investigate what's frustrating you and talk about it on the radio. Jacob Warren is one of the three Warrens here with me today, talking about their family business, Financial Planning HQ. Jacob, I'm interested in what are some reasons that somebody should fire their financial advisor right now?
That's a great question, Todd. And I was actually just looking at some of the information that's come back from clients out there in common mistakes that their financial advisor makes. And the number one mistake and reason why people fire their financial advisors now is that they don't know what they're paying their financial advisor. It's interesting that in finance, you don't necessarily know what you're paying your advisor, but every other thing that you go out there and buy, you go buy a car, you hire a CPA, you go to the store, the price is right there, you know exactly what you're paying, but it's the opposite in the financial world. So that's something that we're very transparent at with our clients, is they know exactly dollars and cents what they're paying us. And I think that's a huge value add. And my dad and I were talking about this in the lobby. Have we ever met anybody that actually knew what they were paying their financial advisor? I've ran into one person in my career since 2012. Steve, since the 80s, has said he's ran into 0 people. Joseph?
Very few.
Very few. So it's very uncommon for someone to actually know. And that's something that we're very, like I said, we're very transparent. Some of the other reasons we're taking too long to complete tasks, more than a week, using industry jargon, stuff that nobody would know unless they were in the industry. Not considering a client's values is a big one. And that's something that we go through in our initial process, is we find out what's important about money to all of our clients. And that helps drive our recommendations to them. And so, go ahead.
It's funny you say that, because I went to an advisor one time, and I discovered right away that his value was that I retire. He said, "When are you going to retire?" And I said, "I'm not going to retire." And so right off the bat, I don't like this guy because he wants me to retire. And so I think that's awesome that you actually ask the question. You're not going to push some agenda on me.
Right. Yeah, that's just a part of the process, is we take everyone through and we figure out what truly is important to them, and that really guides our recommendation process.
Okay. Joseph, what do you think makes you different than everybody else?
The fact that a lot of what Jacob said, right? The fact that we start with values, but
Well, what makes you different from Jacob?
What makes me different? Very different personality. We did personality tests, and mine was like on the opposite spectrum of
polar
Jacob.
opposites.
Jacob's
That's why we get along, I think.
Okay.
But no, Jacob's great, a great person to work with, and yeah, we've seen that play out with many clients. Like I was talking about, I love to see clients win. We've had clients who have family businesses, a lot of husband and wife business owners, and that's really neat too because the strategy can create perfect alignment of their business and also their personal finances, so that their business almost becomes this powerful tool they have to make sure they hit all their financial goals. So it's really it's a blessing. I didn't really think about it, but it's really cool that decisions Steve was making when I was in middle school have led to me being here working in this business. And I never really thought about it until this interview, but I really believe in what we're doing. It's all about providing the best value to the client. That's what it should be about. It seems obvious, but for some reason it's lacking with a lot of companies in the financial industry.
Steve, I'm so surprised and just in awe and wonder and how you got your kids to work with you, because my kids knew exactly what I did from the time that they were babies, because I told them, I can't play with you, I'm at work. and so I think I accidentally turned them off to the law just by showing them all the sacrifices that I made and how hard that I worked. And I never had the opportunity to even say, hey, why don't you be a lawyer? Because they were constantly saying, by the way, I never want to be a lawyer. So how did you convince them to come work with you?
I didn't convince them. They actually made the decision on their own. And I think that's important. Most of my clients, their kids are all over the place, all over the United States, and they don't live close to each other. So it's truly a blessing to be able to work with my sons. I wish my daughter was in the business as well, but we can talk about that later. But it was their idea. I just presented an opportunity to them, and they made the decision on their own.
And they were looking for an opportunity, so they had that chance to come to that realization on their own.
Absolutely. That's right.
Well, some of the things that other people run into problems with family business, I think has a lot to do with communication and expectations, unfulfilled expectations or unspoken rules. How do you deal with communication and expectations in your office?
The best thing that I have done is to understand that there's generational differences, because there's an age difference, obviously. And each generation has unique perspectives. They have unique values that might be different from my own. So if I understand these generational differences, it makes it much easier to collaborate, to be innovative, and also to deliver tremendous value to our clients. And a great book for your audience would be A New Kind of Diversity. And I believe the author is Tim Elmore.
Okay.
And the book really talks about how to understand different generations. And I think just having that understanding helps facilitate a good environment to be in. And the other thing we did a couple of years ago was we identified our values, the things that were important to us.
Within your office?
In business.
Okay.
Yes. And so then we looked for commonalities. What are some of the things that shared values that we have where we can have a shared vision for building our business? And that exercise was actually very, very helpful. And it does require some leadership, and some thoughtful questions have to be asked of, let's say, your co-owners or your employees.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're able to do that and just ask, what's important about working at this company to you, you'll get some answers that really show that you care about the person, right? And you record those answers and just really look for common ground between the rest of the employees or the rest of the ownership.
If you have a difference of an opinion about something in the office, does that cause problems at family dinner? later on or at holidays?
It never has, as far as I'm aware of. What about you guys?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
It typically, if we have like a heated, I don't want to say heated, but if we have a serious conversation at the office, it kind of just stays there. I think we all know what we want to achieve as a group, and keep that in mind when we're having these conversations. But I don't think it's ever really left the office.
It's helped a lot with separating business from personal, because I feel the same way.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we could disagree and have a heated discussion about something in the business and then go see a movie or something like that.
Or go have dinner. Yeah.
And Joseph's he's very innovative, and he's very technology savvy, and he likes to do things that I'm not used to.
Mm-hmm.
So what I do is listen to him. How is it going to improve our business? Tell me more about that. And maybe we incorporate his idea. Instead of fighting it, let me listen, because they do have unique perspectives, unique body of knowledge, experience, even though they're younger.
Do you have an opportunity to work with people that are in a family business? And how do you deal with some of the financial planning business issues like divorce and bankruptcy and disability and planning for death?
Yeah. We thankfully haven't had any clients. So we do work with family businesses. I haven't seen a lot of spanning 2 generations like our business does, like father and son or father and son and daughter. But yeah, we do. And thankfully we don't see divorce. I think it's because of our process. We do start with what's important to the client. And we feel that our process leads to marital harmony. So never seen divorce, thankfully. With disability, I've had clients go through that, and they had disability insurance. So within 90 days of meeting with us, we have a meeting called a comprehensive safety review. We look at every risk that exists to their plan. And during that meeting, if they have a need for disability insurance, we'll get it for them. If they can't qualify, then we'll have a plan B of this is how we mitigate or avoid this risk. So, and then bankruptcy, thankfully, haven't dealt with that. I've had some people call in and ask, but I didn't take them on as clients. So not something I'm skilled in. But the main thing is with working with clients in a family business is it's personal. Like every business is different. Every family is different. So every piece of advice we give them is based on what do they need to do right now to get as close as they can to their goals, and what do they need to continue doing so they can move towards what they want to achieve. So it's different for every client, but usually we get really good results, and a business helps too because there's so many different strategies you can do with businesses to save on taxes and help with investing and all the different disciplines of financial planning.
I want to take a moment just to invite callers to call in at 210-308-8867, 210-308-8867, to ask you guys a question either about running a successful family business or about financial planning HQ or about values-based financial planning. I think that everybody that works with money, bankers, financial advisors, people that sell stock or insurance, everybody says they do financial planning. And so how do you combat that? How do you define exactly what you do and how it's different?
People oftentimes think that I'm a financial planner. However, a financial planner is a technician. And what we do is we're financial CEOs for our clients. So I actually provide oversight on all the technicians. I mentioned the tax, legal, insurance, investments, financial planners. So I am the financial CEO. The client moves to the board of directors. I report to the client, and I keep all the other technicians in line and make sure that the advice that they're giving the board of directors, the clients, is in alignment with their overarching strategy.
Well, that's a great way to put it, but you can see how regular people that are not in the industry would be confused.
Yes,
when their stockbroker is telling them that they're doing the same thing that you're doing.
We hear that all the time. It's very common. Yep. You guys have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would say that we ask our clients to bring in their current financial plan to the meeting for us to look at, and it's usually 1 to 5 pages. It just has like their net worth on. It's not financial planning. It's a very low level of financial planning. If anything, it's just like a landing page for money they have, net worth, things like that. What we do is very much deeper than that, and we use that to give recommendations. So it's not just, financial planning for the sake of financial planning. It's financial planning with a purpose.
Awesome. Well, we got to take another break, and now's a good time to let everybody know that we're still wanting somebody to call in and ask a question. 210-308-8867. Be right back. God started with one law: don't eat from the fruit of that tree. Then he gave Moses the 10 Commandments. And now we have municipal, state, and federal lawmakers that won't stop making new laws that impact you without you knowing it. So Talk Law Radio is all about helping you discover your legal issue blind spots by listening to me talk about the law on the radio. And today we're talking about family businesses, what makes them successful, and specifically Financial Planning HQ with Steve, Jacob, and Joseph Warren. And the reason why I keep putting Jacob ahead of Joseph is because I actually thought you were older, Jacob. And I think that I thought that because you started working with Dad before he did.
Mm-hmm. Most people that see Joseph and I think I'm older.
So I'm sorry about that, Joseph. I just assumed. I didn't know you were actually older. I would have put your name first.
It's good. Yeah. We're at the age
he
now
likes to look young.
Yeah, we're at the age now where it's good to look younger than older.
So this is the third segment, and I like to talk about sinners and saints. Steve, do you know this song? No, it was popular in the 90s.
Good song.
And so I was in high school in the 90s, and that's why I chose that song for Sinners and Saints.
Sinners and Saints, yeah.
But it comes from my religious background. I'm Lutheran, and Martin Luther said we're all sinners and saints. We're just absolved because of what Jesus did for us, dying on the cross and saving us of our sins. So when I talk about sinners and saints, it just gives me an opportunity to talk about Jesus. But I try and find somebody in the community that's doing good things and maybe somebody that's been accused of doing bad things. And so, Steve, I'd like to hear your thoughts on who's doing good things in the community right now.
Oh, sure. I have a colleague. His name is Mark Wittig, and he founded Executive Book Review 12 years ago. And Executive Book Review is where people get together and without any sense of being appraised or being judged in any way, we evaluate a book and people just get to think about important issues of our time. They could be social issues or economic issues, whatever it might be. And so when we get together a couple of times a month, people really get to express the things that are involved with whatever book we're reviewing. For example, on February the 19th, we're going to review I Shall Not Hate, which is a book about a doctor who actually grew up and still lives in Gaza. And he's actually going to be zooming in for the meeting. He's the author of the book. And it's really a doctor's journey and what he has been through. If you can just imagine what that situation is like in Gaza with, different terrorist groups and all of that. And really the secret of the book and what he learned is that it's sort of like the story is necessary that he wanted to tell because there's no room for hatred and being vengeful. And for somebody that experienced all the things that he did, that's really something that is just, it's so needed in our world today, right? Even though people disagree, you can still get along, right? But we don't see that a lot The other thing that Mark did was Town Twin Village. He got a lot of wealthy investors together, and there's a campus on the south side. It's 17 acres or so, where there's individual housing units. They're about 800 square feet. The place is self-contained, self-sufficient, and the most vulnerable homeless people live there. They have to go through a due diligence process, but just imagine the impact that he's having on the most vulnerable, where they go from being homeless to actually having the dignity of having a place to live in.
Right. Awesome.
So he's really had a great impact on the community, and it's the first person I thought of.
That's great. Yeah, and is that called Town Twin Village?
It is, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I looked it up after we talked on the phone. And what I've been trying to do since Thanksgiving is collect thermal long underwear for cold people to be warm. And
Wow, yeah.
Shannon, a friend of mine, and I collected enough long underwear to help 76 people get warm.
Very nice.
Yeah. And so my next venture in warming people is sock hats.
Yeah.
I'm going to start collecting sock hats because I discovered that I have a bunch. I have one in each pocket of my jacket that I walked in with today. And so I thought, you know what would make people warm is a sock hat. And so awesome. My mission this year is to make cold people warm again.
Very nice.
Awesome. Yeah.
Todd, I wanted to mention that if your audience would ever like to go to Executive Book Review, they can sign up executivebookreview.com, and
Great.
they will meet fellow lifelong learners. It's a great group.
Is that in person or?
It's in person, yes.
Really?
Yeah.
And so do you meet in a very big location where people are always coming in?
We meet at Mark's building. It's called Wittig's. It's over there by the Pearl.
Uh-huh.
And usually the meetings are held there in a kind of a big, not conference room, just a big old, pretty large room.
Okay, great. Thank you for mentioning that.
Sure.
If you want to call in and ask Steve, Joseph, and Jacob a question, call 210-308-8867. They'd like to offer you a discussion and maybe even a book called Values-Based Financial Planning. Steve or Joseph, do you want to talk about how you use that book to help people?
I'm going to go with that one.
Absolutely.
So the book really describes our process in a lot of ways, but our first step in the process is to send people that book for free, and then we have a 20-minute phone consultation with them going over the most important parts of the book. So we actually get on the phone and ask those values questions. What's important about money to you? What's important about security, making a difference in the community to you? And really get deep with them to show them how it works. We drill down on one goal that they have, and then if it resonates with them, if it's a good fit for them, then we invite people down to the office and we can do a full financial roadmap with both spouses. And then if it's still a good fit for them, then we make the offer to work with them. But that's our process. If you want a free book, you can, talk to Todd or give us a call.
Well, they can call you. You want to give them the number, or do you want them to email you, or how should they contact you?
I think since we're doing this shared, we could just do an email. So we can do Steve's email, Steve, STEVE, at financialhq.net, and we'll get you scheduled for a phone consultation.
Okay, great. Steve at financialhq.net.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Years ago, Jacob, I don't know if you remember this, you and Joseph met with me at one of my old offices.
Yeah, with your brother.
And we looked at the book, and then the book contains this giant poster that we opened up on the conference table, and it goes over the steps for financial planning, and nobody had ever done that for me, and I still think about that. And now I've read most of the book, but what I learned from that experience is that my basic paradigm with money could be further refined. But before that meeting, I knew that I needed money to pay my bills. I knew that I needed to save money in case of emergency or disability. I knew that there would be probably a time when I was old and unable to work, because doctors have figured out how to keep us alive for such a long time that usually there's a time when an older person's not able to work. And then after I pass away, that whatever money I have left would go to my kids or my beneficiaries. And so I just had that very basic understanding that I would work my whole life to earn as much money as I possibly could to cover all of those things. So if you were to have that conversation with me again, knowing my basic understanding of money, how could you help me further refine my philosophy?
I think the financial roadmap experience is such a unique thing on its own, probably different than anybody has gone through with a financial advisor. And when you sit down and write everything down, when we're talking about values, and once you start getting towards the top of what's really, really important to you, I think that's the part that can really kind of expand your thinking about your money, your legacy, how you want to be remembered when you're gone, what you want to leave to your kids, things like that. So I think just the experience on its own, it's such a great thing for people to go through.
There's a psychological component to it.
Very much so, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not just the rote practice of you need to earn money and you can buy stocks or insurance to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in fact, we don't even get into money till towards the end of the conversation.
Okay.
At the beginning is all about how you feel as an individual about money. It's a really great experience.
Awesome.
Yeah.
This is a good time for us to take a break. Joseph, when we come back, I'll ask you about crypto.
Okay.
So stay tuned.
Awesome.
Are you 100% confident that no matter what happens in the financial markets, economy, or world events, you will achieve your financial goals? If not, we have a process to get your financial house in perfect order and keep it that way forever. Your financial future shouldn't be a guessing game. Planning, advice, organization, and accountability are deliverables you should expect. For over 35 years, Financial Planning HQ has been San Antonio's trusted partner for comprehensive written lifetime financial strategies. Steve and his team, including sons Joseph and Jacob, don't believe in a one-size-fits-all approach. Instead, they create a personalized financial roadmap for you based on what's important to you. As an independent registered investment advisor, they're not tied to any big corporation's products. They work for you, creating inspiring, intelligent financial strategies that put your interests first. Call Financial Planning HQ at 210-685-2722. That's 210-685-2722. Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm here with Steve, Joseph, and Jacob Warren, family business financial planners. They own and operate Financial Planning HQ here in San Antonio, Texas. And since this is the fourth segment of our show, I like to talk about legacy.
And now, it's time for the Talk Law Radio Legacy Spotlight. What's your legacy? Sponsored by Marquardt Law Firm.
Joseph, I know that you love to think about and talk about crypto, and so that's what I'm going to remember about you. Will you just give the audience some basics on what to watch out for, maybe? Because there was that one crypto investment that was found to be a scam, and the guy went to jail and everything.
Yeah, that was FTX. Do you mind me asking, do you own any crypto or Bitcoin?
No, I'm one of the people that's skeptical of it. Like,
no coin.
It's just this thing that somebody invented.
Yeah.
Whereas gold, you can dig a hole in the ground and find, and you can hold it in your hand.
Yeah. But our dollars are not backed by the gold standard anymore, and Right now, our country's, I think it's $37 trillion in debt, and it's
Right.
growing very quickly. So I'm a big believer in actually one cryptocurrency, which is Bitcoin. And the reason why is it has a limited supply, and algorithmically it's set up to be a scarce asset, which I think is a perfect solution to inflation, even better than gold, in my opinion. But we'll see how that plays out.
But this is not investment advice.
Not investment advice, because everyone's situation is different. So if a client comes to me and it makes sense for them to have crypto and they understand it, I'll give them recommendations about it. But I'm not going out here saying everyone should buy it.
Yeah.
You need to look at your own portfolio and how you feel about risk. And, if you want to do that with us, we're happy to talk with you about it. But we look at the big picture. It's not just about crypto or not crypto. It's about what's your strategy and does crypto fit in that in any way.
Steve, will you share with us what does a bad financial planner look like?
Gosh, some of the things that Jacob had mentioned are certainly applicable. If we were to ask financially successful people, what they're getting and not getting from their financial advisor, I think they could come up with one or two things that they are getting. But one thing that they wouldn't know or understand is what they're not getting. So would it affect your audience's relationship with their financial advisor if they were to discover that the advisor was using outdated technology, for example, or the software that they were using was outdated? Maybe they still use Excel sheets like they did in the 90s, right? Mm-hmm. So another thing is, has your financial advisor set up online an encrypted and comprehensive place where all of your finances are organized in one central location, where with one username and one password, you can see your entire financial life, everything, your bank accounts, your 401ks, your investments, your annuities, your life insurance, all of your real estate is in one central location, and it updates daily. And there's a vault where you can put all your important documents, like your birth certificate, your passport, your tax filings, your business filings. Everything is in one central location, and it updates on a daily basis. So has your financial advisor done that for you? Because that makes your life really simple, right? You can just pull it up, and it's all there,
Right.
with the very highest level of encryption and safety.
Wow. So my guess is that you offer that.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Every client, yeah.
Okay, good. Jacob, any bad financial planner that you can think of? Any features that people should stay away from?
Some general ones, yeah. I think it's...
Well, let me stop you. Let
Sure.
me ask this. My experience with working with a lot of financial planners, being in estate planning, one of the first things a new financial planner has to do is they have to call an estate planning attorney. Mm-hmm. And so I meet with a lot of young people. And so I get to hear what their process is. And almost everybody that I've met with over the last 20 years has this risk assessment to decide, how the investment should be allocated. And so my theory, at least the way it sounds to me, is that everybody fits into one of these different risk assessments. And there might be 3 or 5 or more than that. And so once they know your risk assessment, they go to their computer, they say, Todd's in this risk assessment, buy whatever investments fit that profile. And so all the guy really did for me is meet with me, find out what my risk was, and then put it in his computer. So I don't know that he knows investments any better than I do. All he did was put my information in the software. So is that your experience? Do I have a correct understanding of what financial planning is, for everybody else?
That's a great way to describe it. Yeah, it's very much kind of cookie cutter. Everyone kind of gets the same portfolios. The great thing about us being independent is that we have access to hundreds and hundreds of different types of portfolios that we can put people in that are specifically tailored to their values, goals, and needs. And we don't have to sell the funds of the insurance company that we work for, just as an example.
Right.
And I think that's a huge differentiator. And I think with the way that the markets have changed with technology, you can get an AI portfolio for free that's probably going to beat the S&P. It's going to be a good portfolio.
Right.
Why would you want to pay somebody 1% to do the same thing? It's a legitimate question that I think consumers are now starting to ask.
Yeah.
And our industry as a whole has kind of lagged behind in terms of like innovating and changing. I think our business is way ahead of the curve there with the way that we operate, and kind of leaving that behind, doing our own thing as an independent advisors, and really truly doing what's best for the clients.
Okay, Steve, since this is the legacy segment and you've got more gray hair than the other guys, I wanted to ask you first. What kind of legacy is on your mind? Do you have specific things that you want people to inherit from you? Is there something that you inherited that you would like to talk about, or is there something else that resonates with you when you think of legacy?
When I think of legacy and I think about my kids, I just see them as being kind, generous individuals. And I've seen like Joseph and Jacob grow a lot because they're now married. They have children. And I see the kind of fathers that they are and husbands. And that in itself gives me a lot of gratification. Nothing material. I really appreciate that all of my kids, including my daughter, Larissa, they are independent thinkers. And I really do appreciate it. Gives me peace of mind just to know that they're able to critically think whatever situation is being evaluated and come to their own conclusion based upon their values and their thought processes and the research that they do.
Is that a nice way of saying that they don't do what you say?
I guess in a way it is, because I don't know everything, and like I mentioned earlier, they have unique perspectives and values. And
you must be a very patient person to let them go out and make their own mistakes.
I've allowed them to do that because that's the way they're going to learn.
Yeah.
You learn through failure, and you just get back up on that horse, and you ascertain what you did wrong and get it right the next time.
Joseph, let's talk about your legacy, besides me remembering you as the guy that talks about crypto.
Yes. That was one of my goals for last year, was to get to 1 Bitcoin. I remember telling you that. And
did you do it?
I got halfway there. I got to half a Bitcoin. And I think it's kind of interesting because you think about legacy as being after you're dead, but you build your legacy while you're alive. So what I've been thinking about this is if
I remember you said that.
Yeah.
There's a quote that Joseph said when we were working on how to leave a legendary legacy.
Yeah.
You said something like, your legacy is the collection of decisions that you made over your lifetime.
So,
I thought, that is so right on point.
Yeah, it's if you really boil it down, that's what it is. And it's important to be conscious of your legacy and those decisions and who you're inspiring or who you're being a bad example to at the same time. So, of course, having a daughter helps with that. But no matter what stage of life you're in, it's good to think, like, am I putting good out there? Am I helping people? And am I inspiring the people around me to do better in their life?
Well, my dad always said, somebody's always watching. And, they do. They say, Todd, I didn't know that you were doing dog agility until, I heard about it. I thought, well, I didn't even know people cared. But people are always watching. Jacob, how about you? What would you say you want your legacy to be?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think my perspective has changed recently being a new father. And it makes me think about the unique opportunity that we all have to build this business, here in town and grow it to a place where we're a big business and people recognize our name and things like that is really exciting to think about. And we have such a great opportunity to do so. And I think really just, enjoying the moments, enjoying the failure. Like you said, I think the failure is super important, to get better. That's the way you learn things. So really just enjoying the moments at the office, at home, building a great business and building a legacy that way is exciting.
And so what does succession look like? We have one president sitting here today, and so how will you decide who the next president is going to be?
Uh-oh.
On the spot. He's going to do a series of games, I guess.
Our succession planning is that eventually they would inherit the business, and then later on that maybe they would also bring in my grandchildren into the business.
Oh, great.
It can be an outstanding opportunity that's dynamic and fun. It's really great to work with people, and people are so unique. You know, it's just a lot of fun, and hopefully it can continue on to their children as well.
So what would you say is the secret to having your successful business today?
I think that just listening is the secret, asking great questions, acknowledging the different perspectives, understanding them, knowing what my son's values are as co-owners is also helpful, and listening to their innovation, their technology expertise, all of the things that they bring to the table.
Thank you for joining me today. I appreciate you so much. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you. Great to be
Thanks,
here.
Todd.
Talk to you
Thank
later.
you.
Alrighty.